Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and game 1 in a series between Mousesports' Mana versus Empire's Kaz here on Tal'Darim Altar. Kaz spawning as the blue Terran player here at what I'll call the 4 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we have Mana spawning on the top left-hand side of the map as the green Protoss. So this is going to be Protoss versus Terran. Apparently, both of the players having a little bit of a friendly conversation going on at the start of this matchup, and talking about home story, a recent tournament that did come around. Well, and we'll see what's gonna happen here. Now, Tal'Darim Altar, a rather large map in this Terran versus Protoss head-to-head, which has a number of different options and openings that players can try to go for. Now, if you try to go for a fast expansion here on Tal'Darim Altar, you can easily defend it, or you can normally defend it pretty easily with just Marines and bunkers. We'll see if that's going to be the case, or if there's going to be perhaps a different opening coming in from each of these players. Now, taking a look so far, Mana has not yet warped in a gateway, so he may be going for a Nexus first. Meanwhile, we can see that Kaz is going, nope, he's not going to be going for a Nexus first, going for that gateway now. And now you can see that there is going to be a barracks established by Kaz. So Kaz obviously getting that barracks supply depot being built back over here a little bit closer to the mineral line, and we'll see and what exactly will come of this in just a moment. Now, the probe is not going to be able to scout out their opponent anytime soon, and with the way the situation is set up and the map is situated, it's going to be a good minute before Mana does come across Kaz. Now, taking a look down over here, you can see that Kaz is not going for any early gas. So without the early gas, that really indicates or really shows me that he's going to try to go for a fast expansion. Marines are now going to be trained, perhaps a command center here, and then followed by double bunkers on this front door to make sure that probes are unable to get in, or at least the stalkers will not be able to put that much pressure. The Marines should be out and should be able to intercept this one probe just in time, as you now see the SCV wandering around. This one probe has a pretty good idea of where his opponent has actually spawned. A second Marine now being trained, as Kaz perhaps is going to be able to start shooting at that probe. The probe already taking some damage. The probe trying to run away, and it looks like the probe may be able to escape out as we should be getting a new Marine. The Marine gets there just in time. And that was some critical killing there, making sure that a refinery was not spotted. You can take a look here. Mana didn't see very much of anything. Didn't see a command center being placed down here. He also did not see whether or not there was a refinery on this location. He also did not see if there was a tech labs here. So he's pretty much in the dark on what his opponent's strategy is at this stage in the game. Mana, however, looking like he's going to be going into one base play. He is getting double gas. He may go for a lot of sentries and then use sentries as his basic defense for a little while, as the SCV does get taken down as well. The SCV also not able to keep track of any assimilators action going down and whether or not there is going to be an early nexus. It looks like a probe is making his way out from Mana in order to warp in that nexus. There it is, but the command center is nearing completion already, as we are now going into a bunker. The bunker currently halfway done. Marines should be able to jump inside there very easily. I'm surprised that Kaz is keeping it so far away from the ramp. A lot of times you'll see Terran players try to build closer to the ramp, but on Tal'Darim Altar you also have to worry about units coming around the far side. That is going to be an issue, as we are now upgrading to an orbital command, but we are adding an additional gateway as well. Mana looking to operate off of 2 gateways as this nexus is about to get to the halfway point. You can see a third command center already coming in from Kaz. So Kaz really aggressively expanding, and this command center most likely will lift off and land down over here. One of the things that I like to see Terran players do is build this third command center and then only call mules into this location. You don't transfer SCVs over, as transferring SCVs are a little bit of a risk, especially when they are caught in the wide open like that, and only use the SCVs that you train from the command center in order to mine. Because you have mules, you can still mine this base out pretty quickly, and then you don't force yourself to strip mine your own base, which is easier to defend. robotics facility now being added, so it is going to be a 2 gateway into a robotics facility, or 3 gateway into a robotics facility, as Mana most likely will be going into the observer and then following up with perhaps Colossi. Colossi, a very strong opening against this almost gasless build in the early stages of the game, forcing a lot more Marines. Currently sitting on 11 Marines, you can see that there are currently 3 orbital commands, SCVs being trained by Kaz. So Kaz deciding not to lift it off, instead just training and building more SCVs into the natural expansion, as opposed to trying to establish even another group of mineral patches. I would say that this is one of those instances where you could perhaps get away with it if you are lucky, and then just trying to use as many mules and then just calling in SCVs down over here, or training them SCVs down over there. The front door now, double bunkers. We do have some supply depots off over here as well, making it sure that no units are going to be able to push in all too easily. Sentries now attempting to take down the destructible rocks. Those particle beams don't deal nearly that much damage, but with this many numbers, it looks like the destructible rocks will fall pretty quickly. Assimilators now and coming in. They are going to be warping in here in just a moment. The production tab shows the robotics bay is about to be completed. Extended thermal lance followed by Colossi most likely will be started in just a moment, as we are about to hit the 9-minute mark with really no action in this game at all. Harvester count for these two sides, 49 compared to 46. The additional orbital command really helping to train additional SCVs, as we are now going into the reactor, the factory, and that starport. So reactor, factory, and starport, as we are going to, as we are going to have a swap on the factory with the reactor in order to start double training units. Marines attempting to take down the destructible rocks over here. It looks like they will fall with relatively no issue. And will Kaz perhaps build another command center here and lift it off? You can see that the observer did spot this additional orbital command, as Kaz has had it for quite some time and then using it for a lot of mules, as the Marines and the Marauders finally back off. Stim, combat shield, and has been, or Stim about to be done. There you go. Combat shield still needing about another 20 seconds. No concussive shells yet, as we are now getting the level 1 weapons upgrade. Extended thermal lance and Protoss ground level 1 weapons upgrade are being researched, as well as we are now going into the Twilight Council. The observer trying to make his way over to the rest of that ground army. It doesn't look like he'll be able to catch up, as the units are now holding the Zelnaga towers for some proper scouting information. A factory gonna pass by that observer in the air, just simply phase right through it. Not quite sure, or did they actually phase through, or was it one on top of the other? Not quite sure about that, as we now see the command center has landed. Orbital command has landed. We should perhaps see more mules coming down over here, as Kaz now with a 30 food advantage. 4 mules, 65 SCVs, really giving him a giant boost in his economy, as he now is harvesting about 900 resources more a minute. Now, this Nexus is about to be completed. 10 more seconds until it is done, as we also see Colossi and Sentries on the move. The Colossi and the Sentries could perhaps corral all of these barracks units rather quickly, as it looks like Kaz is going for a drop. The drop of Kaz may be able to just simply fly around there, drop right into this location, as the Marines and the Marauders are going to be putting pressure on the backside here. Stalkers are going to try to engage the Marines, and the Marauders are going to engage back over here. There's the force field. The units are going to try to run away. The Colossi are a little bit too far. The Sentries and the Stalkers have to all push off over here, as we now have a main attack, or an attack at the natural expansion. More Stalkers and probes joining in. Probes are going to be falling, as more Marines and Marauders are continuing to fight. Worker kill count already up to 22, as the Marines and the Marauders perhaps going to go after a Colossus. The Colossus trying to get away. It looks like it is taking a lot of damage, only needing one more shot. There it goes, as there is that trade. So Kaz losing a lot in that attack. He lost 600 more resources than his opponent, but he did hit the probes and the economy of Mana. So Mana is in trouble right now. He needs to perhaps get a little bit more harassment going. Every minute that this game keeps on going, the more you'll see an economic difference between these two armies. 1,000 resources, or actually a 1,200 resource difference when you factor in the mules and the gas. No more command centers being built. A second starport now being added as the factory gets shot down out of the sky. Double Vikings being added into the army group now. We are also getting Ghost. So the Ghost with level 1 weapons upgrade, EMP shockwaves, should be able to take down the Zealots and the Sentries, but more importantly, remove all the energy on any High Templar that try to make their way in. The Vikings are forced to retreat here. SCVs coming off the mineral line in order to repair, as we are now going to see these units simply walk up the ramp. There are a fair number of Vikings, as we should have an engagement here. Where are those Ghosts? The Ghosts do not want to engage just quite yet. There you go, and it looks like some damage was dealt. Both sides backing off. One very gung-ho Marine unable to save that supply depot. Vikings now going to park themselves together, perhaps start repairing one of those Vikings even further, and then once you get into the realm of around 8 Vikings, those Vikings can take down Colossi very, very quickly. The Colossus now walking all the way home as we are going into a 4th base. There is one observer here, and Mana's still pretty lucky with this observer, able to keep track of Kaz's entire army, but Kaz still with a larger army at this stage by about 50 food. And now it is 60 harvesters compared to 76. We are no longer training any more SCVs, instead double building command centers, one here, and it looks like it may be trying to establish this expansion as well as this expansion at the same time. Colossi, Stalkers, Sentries are now in a full retreat. The Zealots are perhaps going to be pushing into the Zelnaga Tower here, and now more reinforcements should be coming in. But Mana doesn't nearly have as many resources and as many units as Kaz. Kaz still very, very far ahead, 76 compared to 64 army sizes, as the Vikings, fly a little bit too far. The medevac, the Vikings going to go straight for the Colossus. There you go, EMP shockwaves. No, there's some EMP shockwaves. And this engagement is going to be very, very bad for Mana. Mana not realizing that all the Vikings have completely finished off the Colossi. The Vikings with that very, very high and long range, able to shoot down those Colossus in just a matter of seconds. And now in comes the counterattack. Here, we currently have only one medevac in this group, so Kaz not going crazy on medevacs, instead training a lot more Vikings, as the Colossi are going to be going after those Vikings. The Colossi want to shoot down the Vikings. The Vikings are very easy targets, as that's the only... the Colossi are easy targets, as that's the only thing that the Vikings can actually hit. And one Colossus already down, a second Colossus now getting taken down, as the Marines and the Marauders are still battling it out here. And mass Marauders are going to be able to take down this Nexus in just a matter of seconds. The Vikings aren't even bothering to land in ground mode, as the Marauders will be able to finish this up right now. We are now down to 2 bases for Mana compared to 3 bases, 3 bases for Kaz, with 5 orbital commands. This base just being established and now upgrading to a planetary fortress. So a lot of mules now being used. Sorry, it is going to be 4 orbital commands. Actually, no, it may be 5 orbital commands. Kaz already building up another command center, perhaps using them as food instead of using supply depots. Supply depots, all they can do is raise and lower. Command centers can be upgraded into planetary fortresses or used to call down mules and scanner sweeps. Why build supply depots ever? If we see Kaz build another 5 or 6 orbital commands, then that would be very, very interesting. But yeah, obviously there is a place for supply depots. Colossi and now Psystorm still being added to this group in order to fight back this Terran bio that is currently upgraded at 2-2. Planetary Fortress will be able to defend anything that comes his way, as a probe now makes its way over. He does see that there is a planetary fortress there, and Kaz really getting a strong economy, now sitting at 2,000 resources a minute. Vikings now looking to push out, takes down the Observer. One Zealot runs straight into a Marine, but unbeknownst to him, there's a whole squadron of Marines and Marauders and even Ghost alongside with him. Mana looking to perhaps fight back. We can see that there are 2 Archons, 2 Colossi, 2 High Templars. The High Templars need to get out those Psy Storms in order for this fight to go well. No Psy Storm just quite yet, still about 15 seconds away. Is it going to be enough as the Ghosts now come in? There's one snipe, and now coming in even further, the Vikings are now going after the Colossi. Are we going to be getting some EMP shockwaves? This is the key question. It looks like the Ghosts are all getting destroyed as well as they are temporarily revealed, and all the Vikings have been taken down. So the Vikings were able to take down 1 Colossus, I believe, but that was it. But a lot of the Archons are now low on shields and really need to get those shields back in order for there to be a serious engagement. Ghost, Marines, and Marauders now both sides engaging. Colossi still using that extended thermal lance range. Marines and Marauders still pushing forward, and Archon finally gets through to the front lines only to get destroyed. And I believe the Protoss army is going to melt away here, and there's the GG by Mana. So Kaz taking game 1 in this series over Mana here on Tal'Darim Altar.